Happy Easter, everyone. I've had conversations with enough of you individually to know that there is a wide range of beliefs here in this church. And since Easter has long been the foundation of Christian faith, it seems a good time for each of us individually, uniquely, to reflect on what do you personally know to be true. And even more importantly, how does what you believe, your faith, sustain you and guide you and give you hope? So I have some reflection questions along with some images that will go with each of them on the screen. And I invite you to go inside and explore what it is that you know to be true. For example, do you have faith in nature? Faith that no matter how difficult the winter or how hard it may seem to believe, spring will come again. Spring always comes. How does your faith in nature, in the cycles of the season, the return of spring, give you hope? The flowers and birds and bunnies, vibrant greens, how do they feed your spirit? The European ancestors celebrated the goddess of fertility, Astra, or Ostara in some regions. In the year 725, Saint Bede the Venerable wrote about the Astra goddess and Christian Easter connection. How do your ancestors guide you, offer you hope in difficult times? How can you access the wisdom of those who came before you? Christianity is based on the belief that Jesus is God, that he died for a reason and then came back through the resurrection. Is this your belief? How does your faith in the incarnation and resurrection sustain and guide you? and give you hope? Some Christians instead believe that Jesus was an important wisdom teacher whose followers told the resurrection story to emphasize the significance of his teachings after the humiliating crucifixion. Or perhaps the resurrection was meant to be metaphorical. Is this your belief? And if so, how does the metaphor of the resurrection offer you hope? How does the wisdom of Jesus the teacher sustain you? The Gospel of Mary points to a third idea, that in life, Jesus and Mary developed a deep connection and practiced an inner awareness and stillness that fostered their ability to be present to one another beyond death. Does your hope come from deep connection to another person or persons? Do you believe our spirits or souls live on in another realm after death? How does this belief sustain you and give you hope? Perhaps your faith is its own unique combination of several of these ideas. May each of your unique souls be grounded in the wisdom of your own faith, whatever that is. And may we as a community find strength in exploring these mysteries together. And I invite you to talk with each other in your own families or with each other in the pews about what is your own faith, what is your own hope, what it is that you believe in. And now I invite you to find those slips of paper in your pews and write down what it is that gives you hope. What it is that you're most grateful for, and what it is that sustains you. And if you would like that hope to be shared in community, I invite you to bring it up and put it in the wooden bowl.
There was a tweet this week by none other than Elvis Costello, one of my favorite musicians. Maybe the greatest line ever created in musical history. There are some things you just can't cover up with lipstick and powder. Right? What a great line. Elvis Costello took a picture of his home parish in the UK. This wonderful, beautiful looking church, but the windows were boarded up. And the door was shut with a padlock. And he put this quote under the picture: "My home parish, still keeping sinners out." Think about that. That's an image people are walking around with the church. Still keeping sinners out. Now contrast that with the image of Easter morning. An open tomb. A stone rolled away. That's the image we're trying to work with. How do we get to a place where people find the church as an open tomb? As a place where miracles happen. As a place where there is an open hospitality. There isn't a door that closes and opens. It's just always open. There is no door. It's been taken off. You come in when you feel moved. You leave when you feel moved. You come back in when the Spirit moves you. That's an image for Easter this morning. And many times I talk with other clergy. And, you've probably heard the clericalism. It's kind of when clergy get kind of together in a group, and then they talk about clergy stuff, and then it makes great sense to them, and then they talk about other people, and everybody just kind of looks at us like, what are you talking about? Sometimes what happens is a friend of mine, he described it this way: clergy, they think of the church like this, and this is what they walk around with. But most people, when you think about the church, it's really about like this. An example: last week we took a bike ride up to the 2 Ukrainian churches here in Minneapolis. And we took your prayers with us, and we dropped them off at the Orthodox, and we dropped them off at the Catholic Church. Now, here's like the big picture. I'm thinking, hey, we're going to spend time, we're going to delve into the differences between the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church. And we're going to talk about the calendar differences. And we're going to talk about, so-and-so and so-and-so. And what was the response I got from people on Twitter? There are Ukrainian churches in Minneapolis? Where? This big, right? Not this big. Right here. Right here. Locked doors or open too. Right here. Tim Keller, he's a Presbyterian. I usually disagree with him. Not because he's Presbyterian, or maybe because of it, I'm not really sure. He's up in New York City. He was talking a little bit about, he's got pancreatic cancer. He'll be dying soon. He's talking about Good Friday and Holy Week and what all this movement means to him. And he had this kind of a meandering way of talking about Easter. And he quoted from Tolkien about how we all have these longings in our lives for to go beyond the systems of time. To go beyond the systems of death. To somehow be connected with our loved ones in communion forever. It's fantasy and sci-fi. These kind of otherworldly kind of fairy tales is what we're all kind of longing for, and that's why we're drawn to these stories, and maybe that's why we're drawn to Easter too. You can think about Easter that way, and you can start to feel that, you can go back to, I don't know if you ever had these experiences, I know I did, growing up, that Easter morning was the one chance for the minister to really kind of lay it on the line for everybody and to prove the resurrection. You may have to suffer through those too. Maybe you're just not willing to admit it yet. Yeah. What? You can't raise your hand, Anna. Come on. Yeah. It's going to take a minute to recover from that. You can feel those kind of movements in life where people are going to try to prove to you things, and you can't prove these kind of things. And so you can feel those ways that really this is more fairy tale. This is science fiction. This is fantasy. This is the deep longings of human life. Have an open tomb. to have a welcome. I mean, how many people, think of it this way, how many times have you ever walked into a room and no one said hello to you? Or no one welcomed you into the place? Or maybe you sat down at a table and nobody even acknowledged that you're there. You know, those fantasies, those fairy tales, that sci-fi, whatever those longings we have in our life, it's just for someone to say hello, to someone admit that you're there, to welcome you. Open tomb, stone rolled away. And those are resurrections all over the place. So let's think about what it is this year that we're really looking for. I want to give you some practical advice. This is the third year we're going to be in this pandemic. And third years are when things fall apart. I've been seeing it all over. We have conference calls. I've been talking to other clergy. This is what we're seeing over and over again. Right? Relationships are failing. Kids that are in college are just struggling day to day to figure out what in the world is going on. There's people that are changing jobs just not because of the Great Recession, but just what is my purpose in life? You're finding all these things that were held together, it seems like with duct tape, just kind of erode. If we look at it in systems theory, we say that the third year is one of those tension points. When you have all these expectations for yourself and for institutions and those people in your life, and then by the third year, they don't live up to them. And you don't know how to react. And you generally react with a great dismissal. So we're going to have to find ways this year to operate with generous assumptions about other people. We're going to have to find ways to listen intently. We're going to have to find ways to forgive even when we don't want to. And we're going to have to find ways to look at someone and call out their best self. And also realize that there may be some necessary changes in all of our lives. Maybe the things we're holding on to need to be let go of. Maybe there's some new changes in our life. It's an open tomb, not a locked door. Sometimes we think of Easter and you try to make it as complicated as possible. I know I have plenty of times. I think about, what do people really think about for Easter? I mean, we're all dressed up, we look great. It's a shame though, right? I mean, I really wanted to wear my seersucker suit this morning. And I guess I could have, but seersucker and snow boots or wool socks just didn't seem to go together. Here we are gathered on this day. What do we really take with it? You don't go around, I listen to people, I don't know if you do this, but I like to go to a coffee shop. Back when we used to be able, there's these things called coffee shops. And they have chairs and tables, and you could sit there. I like to put headphones in and don't turn anything on and just listen to other conversations. Yes, I'm a voyeur that way, okay? And I like to listen to what are people thinking about, talking about. When you think about Easter, you never hear people at the coffee shop, well, I think Jesus was resurrected sometime around 5:55 a.m., and you don't hear people talking about that. You hear people talking about life. This week I was at a Twins game, and I took the bus home, and it was about 10:15, 10:20 by the time I got on the bus. It's one of those rare occasions where the Twins won, by the way, and I was in attendance. And I was on the bus, and I got to tell you, some rough-looking dudes got on the bus. And it was the kind of people that you don't want to make eye contact with for fear of what may happen. And so I just sat there, in the same mode, headphones on, just kind of looking down at my phone, praying that there's not any kind of interaction going on. But what's the conversations that I heard behind me? One was a brother that was really concerned. He wanted to get home in time so he could check on him and see if he was okay. There was another dad on the phone talking to his kids saying, I made mac and cheese for you in the fridge. Just warm it up. There was a woman who was talking and saying, I don't know what they see in that person. Why don't they find some worth in me? These are the things people are talking about. These are the kind of issues even the people that you may think are just going to talk about, making it through life. But here they just wanted to find connection and to find some love in this world. And so you think about Easter, it's just an old-fashioned love song. That's all Easter is. An old-fashioned love song that God's not going to give up on us. Dolly Parton wrote that famous song, right? I Will Always Love You. And you can hear it. She wrote it for Porter Wagner, right? Her longtime mentor and friend. It was a breakup song. And she was trying to tell him, hey, look, this wonderful thing we had, it's time to move on. I will always love you. And that's kind of by the way, you should know this also. She wrote that in the morning. Do you know what song she wrote that afternoon? Jolene. If Dolly Parton's not some kind of mastermind wizard, who knows? Then there is no, right? She wrote that song. And think about the life that it's taken over time. Many people picked it up. But Whitney Houston picks it up, takes it over to a whole other level. It was written as a country breakup song, and yet Whitney Houston turns it into this great love song, too. I mean, it was a perfect love song, country love song. If you heard it, go listen to it this afternoon, right? I mean, she even does, Dolly Parton in the original version, even has that little time where she does her best George Jones, right? It's kind of an interlude where the musician kind of steps off stage and then kind of talks to the audience. I've always been there for you. You've always been there for me. And then she goes back into the song, right? I mean, that is beautiful. Hardly anybody can pull that off, right? And she does that. And it's this wonderful country love song, and that seemed to be its life, but no, there's a deeper moment to this when Whitney Houston picks it up. And think of it, how many of all of us, why do we love that song? Why was it number one forever on both the country charts and the pop charts? And why do people play it at weddings? It's a breakup song. Why are you playing it at your wedding? You're playing it because it's this simple reminder. And it's the same reminder of Easter. I will always love you. On Easter morning, there is no great mystery. There is no great, I just don't understand it, I just don't get it. No, it's just a simple refrain that God sings to us again and again. I will always love you. Death will not rule over you. No matter what happens in this life, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how many hearts you break, I will always love you. So this morning, this afternoon, when you're sitting there eating your ham dinner, or you're trying to hope that somebody else doesn't eat that last hot cross bun, right? Or you're one of the few people that were able to purchase some of those Cadbury mini eggs, which, think about it. They start selling them before Lent. And then they're sold out by Good Friday. So if you wanted to purchase some for Easter morning, I'm not saying that there was somebody here that tried to do this and was hoping to find them and then couldn't, right? If you're looking for that last Easter treat, I want you to have a song in your heart. I will always love you. Again and again and again. Because this year is going to be tough. It's going to be hard on you. It's going to be hard on me. It's going to be hard on everybody. We don't need to make things more complicated than they already are. Just a simple, old-fashioned love song going through our soul. I will always love you. Amen. Our hymn of response is the summons. Just a quick word on the musicians this morning. We had this dream in staff meeting about 6 months ago. We thought maybe Easter will be kind of normal. And let's try to find a brass band, really give us some juice. And then we started looking, and every other church in the Twin Cities had the same idea. And then we're kind of like, well, what are we going to do? And then we said, hey, what about North, who had this, amazing, could we try to get some Irish music? And I called up Nora, and she was like, yeah, sure, we can do that, right? And you know what the beautiful part of it is? That the music that they have offered so far has just been so in line with what we needed, right? It hasn't been a day for big brass. It's been a day for harp and a violin. Thank you.